Drajeweled Master Deck Set is going to come out next week, so what better time for me to sit down here and try to suggest to you guys like what other improvements can be made based on the deck list that we have seen, and also run through some of the cards that like people usually play and how I would how I build Drajeweled and all that stuff, right? So pretty exciting video to go through. So if you do enjoy this content, please do hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. But before we jump straight in, a word from the sponsor. This video is sponsored by MyMetalCards at Etsy.com, which they are a shop that specializes in creating, hence the name, metal cards, right? So they have plenty of variety of designs, cool, awesome designs that you can choose from, ranging not only from cards like Vanguard, but also from other games such as MTG, Flesh and Blood, and also Gundam, if I'm not mistaken at this point. So plenty of choices. And for example, on my end, I have the Gear Chronicle clan emblem right here, and I also have the black and white Chronojet energy counter, which is metallic, which is hard, and also quite sharp as well. So which is cool. And the best part about it is that it's not only limited to only like this kind of cards, but it's also have like crest, power counters, energy generators, and so forth, right? So plenty of things that you can choose from. There's even transparent acrylic ones if you wanted to, and also you can use my promo code at checkout by using the promo code ENOCHSAYS, so ENOCHSAYS. You will get $5 off on your first purchase. And also just to keep in mind that these metal cards are not official, but they are great for casual use. You can do it as some sort of like a deck divider, or you can use it for personal collection as well. That would be nice in this way. So that's about it. Use my promo code and check out the store as well. That is MyMetalCards at Etsy.com. Link in the description. And that's about it. We move on to the video. Now you notice that the Drajeweled Master Deck Set, which of course the list is going to be up here at the screen, pretty cool. We have like some of the key pieces that like most Drajeweled decks is gonna play. So for example, you have like 4 pieces of Drajeweled Ignis, you have Zagan, you have Rock Augur, you have Vapula, and Over Triggers, and even the Sanctitude, right? So of course, for about like 280 plus in Malaysia, that's kind of okay-ish, but I would say like if you want more like value in terms of like trying to buy deck sets, I feel like Liaonon is more worth it because they have like more important key pieces of PRs in the form of PRs in that particular deck set. So I would highly suggest that if you already have Drajeweled, you can just try to get Liaonon instead. But if you don't and you have and you feel like you want to play Drajeweled, then of course this would be the things that you would actually have to pick up with all of the staples. And of course we have a new Regalis piece coming in. But of course, and my personal opinion on this, I would say like this deck list is kind of a bit meh. Not gonna lie, because honestly speaking, I would. This is where this video comes in, is to like suggest there are a few other alternatives that like some things can actually go through without playing some or stuck with some of the key pieces that at this point is pretty much obsolete at this point in time. So for example, in that particular list we have Impulsor, which of course most decks nowadays don't run Impulsor because you have better resenders. At this point we have like Vapula and also Rock Augur. So of course at the same time we also have to notice to the fact that like we have Litor Snuggle coming in next week as well in the set 8. So of course this is going to be a card that everybody's gonna pick up. It's gonna be played in Drajeweled most of the time. So of course, if you ask me like what other alternatives that you can actually play, like what other things that you can try to like adjust and kick out, right? So there are a few cards on my mind. So of course, first of all, we have what we call that Noctalgio. Noctalgio is actually really good for grade 4 decks, especially. For Drajeweld's case, is just because that you need to counterblast 1 and draw 1 card and just shove 2 cards from your drop zone to your soul, which is excellent because Drajeweled needs to have at least like 4 more different grades for for him to able to do the power minus shenanigans stuff, right? So this is like very, very important, and it's not to mention that this is also a 15k shield. So you are not gonna lack of like any other, like you're not gonna lack 15k shields, because like it's pretty much very defensive in terms of like shield value, so which is nice in one part of it. So the next card I would say like it's definitely going to be, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be Lithos Agur, which of course same thing what Rock Agur does. It's just that you will the biggest bonus addition to it is that you just EB3 and then you draw one, and not to mention that the fact that you can actually restand it even when your opponent is grade 2. So this doesn't have like a grade 3 restriction, so like you can already do like at least 4 to 5 attacks on your first grade 3 turn, right? Which is very terrifying. Because like if Drajeweled were to minus your power and all that stuff, right, and you probably might not have enough to guard, or you just like you have the incentive to like try to, I say like it's gonna be very painful for you to take the damage. So this is the whole point of like trying to rush with like Lithos Agur as well. Of course, the next card will be Falcracia. Falcracia is actually very important. Not only she is a draw engine, but she's also like a high beat stick. Being the fact that she's able to shove like any cards, any dark states. I have to iterate from your drop zone to the soul, and then for each of the grades that you saw by this effect, plus 5k. For every grade plus 5k. So let's say if you shove a grade 4, it's gonna be 20k. If you shove a grade 3, it's gonna be a 15k, right? So that's how it usually goes as well. I also like see some other players playing the Amethyst. This purple gem beast Amethyst as well, because it's not only good for counter charging, because Rock Agur and Lithos Agur kind of counter blasts a lot for the restandings, because most of the time you will actually use your counter blasters on like your restanders and whatnot. So I personally play the cat as well, not only because it's just for the counter charging purposes, but it's also for a 20k shield as well. Very great value, so that's where I kind of differ from some people on that. Of course, that would be the next thing I would play is that there's also another thing, which is Tishkal. Tishkal is very important, not only because like she can actually utilizes the energy plus 3 or the CB1 to actually draw one, but as the more I tested and the more I've actually like tried to and trying to handle like navigate through this storm of this new wave of support, I noticed that like Tishkal is definitely not going to be a rather 4 off. At best, like she's a 3 off or something. Of course, the draw engine is kind of nice with the energy blast, but most of the time, like if you have like Lithos Agur, then of course you're gonna have to use the EB3 to use the skill and just draw one. But of course, it's depending on the ratios, because if you're going to play Tishkal, then most likely then you're not gonna play Rock Agur for the sense, because like you already have one set of restanders, right? So adding in another set of restanders feels a little bit redundant. But for my personal opinion, and just judging from how the meta goes with Baba Sagra and all that stuff, matchups with Baba Sagra with Drajeweled is going to be extremely painful. So this is why I will say like say in this retire meta, you would be better off playing like one set of Rock Agur and one set of Lithos Agur as well. Vapula is a guaranteed 4, because like he essentially allows you to just stand one for free, provided if you didn't stand any rearguard during this turn, and you're able to draw one card and whatnot, right? So this is actually pretty cool. And not to mention that your early game with Lithos Agur is actually kind of nice. With Drajeweled and Lithos Agur, all of these stuff is actually kind of advantageous. Just like want to call out your attackers early game just to rush down people, and then the late game, that's where your explosive turn comes in, and all that stuff, right? So what other things I can say besides that, right? So Regalis piece-wise, I will say like moving on to, I will feel like Regalis piece-wise is very important. For my personal opinion, in my opinion, there's like usually three major Regalis pieces that I will play in this deck, right? So we have the first off is definitely Forbidal, Surrogate Forbidal, which allows you to search your deck for one grade 3 and one grade 4. The grade 4 adds to your hand, and then you can just call a grade 3, which means that you can call out Noctowl Jaw in order for you to like CB1, draw 1 and shove 2 cards from your draw, which is actually kind of nice because you can actually eventually gonna shove in the Forbidal in the soul. So that's one thing for sure. And it doesn't really miss like your grade 4s in hand. So it's a guaranteed grade 4 in hand if you find yourself that you don't have any grade 4s in the early game during your early hand mulligan or like early hand draw. So it's definitely going to be the most important card, one of the most important Regalis pieces in my priority list in terms of like playing the Regalis. My second, of course, is to rank the second one, I would say is actually Twin Cast, because Twin Cast can be good for defensive purposes with like the shield plus, technically a shield, it's just increase your power plus 5k. So like if your Vanguard is grade 4, at this point it's going to be like 20k, so which means that on one particular battle your Drajeweled is going to be 33k, which makes it easier for guarding. That's my take on it. The third one is usually Bracing Angel Ladder. I would say Bracing Angel Ladder is kind of important, not only because it's plus 5k as well, so making like your Drajeweled grade 4 is going to be like 33k, and not to mention like you can draw. But with this particular, I would say, what do you call that, the retire meta nowadays with like a lot of Baba Sagras and Odiums around to an extent, that can able to clear your board or something along those lines. Bracing Angel Ladder is kind of nice to protect your one turn, to just protect your rear guards from being burned away or being like targeted for effects, right? So of course, this would mean that if you have like your Argos on the front row, it doesn't matter if it's like Little Argo or Rock Argo, if you feel like you want to protect them on the field, so that they don't get retired and manage that, like have them to swing on the next turn, then that is definitely okay. That's definitely fine. As well. I also want to like go through like one of the Regalis piece that comes out in this set is actually the Shrouded in Darkness, which if I'm not mistaken, you can pay if you did not write from right deck, you can just pay the cost for free. But if you do, usually it's by Counter Plus 1. I think you search your deck for your drop zone. Not such a deck, you call 2 cards from your drop zone that is equal or less to your Vanguard's grade and call it to the Regal circle, equal or less than your Vanguard's grade. So essentially you can call 3 and 1, you can call 2 and 2, you can call at least like 1/1 or something along those lines, right? But if you call 1 or less, then put this card in the soul. Now, in my personal opinion, I felt like that Regalis piece is kind of strong in some other decks. It's just that not for me in Drajeweled. Although some people might make the case is that like you can actually use the Regalis piece to call out your Little Argos or your Vapilos or something like that, which is technically speaking, it's not wrong. It's just that I felt like the more safer bet for you to Regalis piece, in my personal opinion, will be the 3 aforementioned ones. There's also another Blitz order which comes out with in Lianon Master Deck set, which of course you can play the Blitz order regardless of any grade, provided that if your Vanguard's grade is less than your opponent's. It's like plus, I think it's like plus 15k shield or 10k shield, and then like if your opponent personal rolled during this turn, then you minus 10k. Something along those lines. I might get the skill wrong because it's all like on the top of my head. But then again, that Regalis piece, like this Regalis piece, is not definitely highly recommended in my own case. So your safer bet would be like the three that I've mentioned earlier, being that it's Forbidal, Twin Cast, and also Bracing Angel Ladder. Of course, as a Drajeweled player, moving on. As a Drajeweled player, there are some things that you are not gonna play in this deck, and I'm gonna tell you some of them. Number 1, do not play Biflons. I swear that Biflons is the bane of my existence, and I hated that card to play that Drajeweled with every ounce of my passion. Because that Counter Blast 1 look top 3, it's going to be very high-end IRNG, and the worst case scenario is going to be 1 heal trigger, 1 over trigger, and of course 1 PG, right? So one of them has to go to your soul, one of them has to add it to your hand, and one of them has to go to your drop. Now you pick your poison, which one you want to go for, where do you want those cards to be, right? So this is a bit of a painful, speaking from experience. I do play Biflons in Drajeweled at one point, and honestly speaking, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But now, with the new addition of Litor Sago and some other things, okay, you might be well ahead to try not to play Biflons and you just use your counterblast somewhere else instead of like RNG, the top 3 cards from the deck, thereby decking you out even faster, right? So because I play draws in this deck, right, I think most Drajeweled players will play draw unless some of you play fronts, which is of course, that I mean, it's for shield value, I can get that, but sometimes you need to draw into key pieces, so that's why I play draw. So if I play Biflons, and all top 3 of them are basically duds or the cards that I don't really need, that's like -3 from, I feel like that's -3 for my deck, and kinda like eats away like my deck count a lot. It's very fast. So case in point, speaking from experience, I would say that like do not play Biflons, right? That's one thing for sure. Number 2, Compositive Freaks. I cannot stress how ass this card is, because it's not just only, it's just a mere 10k shield. Sure, it can be good on certain situations, but the skill, the second skill where he has to bind himself on the drop zone just to shove something from your drop zone to your soul is not good. I don't even dare to say it's mid. It's ass. I would avoid it at all costs. I would not play this thing. Not gonna lie, there are better cards to play. But if you feel inclined that your hand size is like, or like your defenses is quite low, feel free to play Compositive Freaks. At least play 1 or 2 copies, right? Because for me, no, I tried and I don't know where I did wrong. Maybe some of you can be a better Drajeweled player than me. I cannot cook this. Compositive Freaks is just too useless for my case. I can't. So I'm just gonna get that out of the way, alright? So one thing for sure. Number 3, Draco Kid. Same thing as Biflons. If you whiff your, by counterblast 1, okay, to look top 7 and find one Drajeweled into your hand. Doesn't matter like any Drajeweled. Preferably you're going to find a Grade 4 Drajeweled. But if you don't, you can reveal a card from your hand, and then you get to draw 1. This is stupid, because if you whiff anything and you don't get anything at all, you are minusing 1 from your hand. You are not plussing anything. You have no benefits whatsoever. This Draco Kid is stupid. Counterblast 1 for that effect is kinda ass. You might as well, like I reiterate earlier, there are better places for you to use your counterblast. Do not play this Draco Kid. I swear on my life, do not play this Draco Kid. It's insanely ass, okay? If you have a Grade 4 in your hand, good, lucky, okay? But if you whiff the whole thing, you might as well just shake hand and say I scoop. Okay, just you know, call it that. At the end of the day, if you can't find a Grade 4, right? Next card is the new support from the new support from the BT08, like DZ BT08 coming out, right? This Grade 1, which calls on Regalis and just CB1 and look top 7 to find Demonic Stone Dragons and add it to your hand. And if you don't, you soul charge 2. You shuffle your deck and then you soul charge 2, right? It's essentially the same thing as Draco Kid does. And of course, this also have to rely on the fact that you are not playing Rock Cargos or something along those lines, right? So if you play 8 of the Argos, whether or not it's like Rock Argo or Litor Sago, then this card is definitely highly unnecessary. It is not going to be useful, but if you also insist on playing like Litor Sago because it's the only Demonic Stone Dragons that you can find, right? You just pray that you don't whiff, and then you just soul charge 2, random soul charge 2, and hopefully none of them are triggers. Because I've tested this thing, and not gonna lie, if you already have like all your Litor Sagos and Rock Argos in your hand, this is very redundant. This card feels mid. It doesn't even do a lot of things. It's just basically counterblast 1 to soul charge 2 at worst case scenarios, right? Which of course I'm not a huge fan of that. So that's why I would say like avoid this card if you can. But if you have to, okay, then what? Then go ahead, right? But these 4 cards avoid it at all costs. I speak from experience. I have play tested it with the new support. Just don't play it because it's going to be very ass. Do not play this, okay? Now, honorable mentions, okay? If I would say like what other cards that you can play, one-off copy of Crystal Gala because you want to have retire and you need to draw. So you can play 2, I will play 1. Okay, so that's about it. Another honorable mention in my mind was that you look for that's this I forgot the name, but this card from DZBT06 where you remove your right line and then you look top 7 for 1 grade 3 or greater ending to your hand and then you shuffle your deck, right? And also it's only a shield value as well because it's if your soul has 4 or more cards, which hopefully if you don't soul blast a lot, like if you manage to soul a lot, then if you have a lot of soul, then this is going to be an easy 10k shield or like 15k shield if your opponent is playing a G-Zone, right? So honorable mentions to those 2 cards actually, that's like on the top of my head. You can actually play Effect Creates, but I think like Effect Creates is definitely what you call that, like must guarantee at this point, I would say. But if you don't play it, then I think it's fine. OT wise, for me, there's a lot of variations. I've seen people play the red OT because your Argos, your Restanders can definitely swing for the second time for 100 million as well. So that is definitely one of the most potential cards that you can actually play. The second one would be like the blue OT, which of course you can assign a crit and 100 million to one of your units, and then you can choose 1 card from your drop zone, and then you bounce it back to your hand. Well, which is kind of nice. I would like prefer that, but I play Dark States OT. No, I don't play Dark States OT. Actually, as a matter of fact, I mean Dark States OT can be nice. Because the double crits with the 10k pressure is kind of good as well. But for me, in my case, I play the blue OT. I would say that blue OT for my case is actually the best. I don't play the red OT. So see how you will, adjust how you will. I just say that it's out of my preference. It's just that because blue OT allows me to just assign the crit and the 100 million somewhere, so that I can just definitely have the double crits on somewhere else with the crit pressure, and then I can just bounce back very defensive cards in my hand, which is my PGs. So that's one thing for sure. What else am I trying to like put out there, right? If you can manage to get these cards for cheap, like the like say for Litos Agor or something along those lines, or like the great ones and the blue OTs. I mean, all of the red and blue OT got reprinted. Then that's good. Noctelgio, I have to be very careful about that because as of late, because of the Drajeweled announcement, then the price of Noctelgio is gonna get pretty high. So then again, it's going to be like the more usually cut, like the most stable cards that you should definitely put it into your deck as well. So that's about it for the time being. Yeah, I think I could give a little bit like a sufficient explanation on my thought process on how to improve your Drajeweled deck set in one case. So yes, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to put it down in the comment section down below. If I missed out anything, if I misspoke or something, please put it down in the comment section down below as well, so I can definitely try to correct myself. I am doing this video on on the spur of the moment because I have a request from a lot of people like, how would you build my Drajeweled? So this is like usually like my Drajeweled, like if I were to build my Drajeweled in one way or another, like with all of the new cards coming in and with some other suggestions, then that's about it. Otherwise, I probably will give you like one of my deck lists for sure. So this, I'm just gonna put the deck code and the deck log and the entire picture. This is how I would envision to run my Drajeweled in the long run, but of course this is subject to change depending on how the meta goes, right? So on this end, I would say happy digging for those cards that I mentioned earlier. Buy your Drajeweled deck sets, get your Little Saguros, and be on your merry way to burn the souls of the people with the 4 flames or something along those lines, right? Shie no Tamashi Moe Sakare or something along those lines, right? Anyways, that's about it. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video. I'll see you guys next time. This has been Professor Enox 095 signing out. Whee!